Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to have Justin Chris, Associate Software Engineer here at CA, tell us about mobile access to Datacom. I am going to mute all of the lines right now, and so that way.
The leader has muted your line. To unmute your line, press #6.
Okay, go ahead, Justin.
All right. So, as Nancy said, I'm going to be presenting an idea that we've been talking over here. Our main goal for this is to make it simpler and easier for users to be able to manage their Datacom environments. In order to show how this process would work, we'll be looking at dynamic system tables, and then I'll be demoing a mobile app that monitors your MUF environment and will be able to send you alerts. So when developing a system, you always want to try and keep it as simple as possible. But as we know, with an enterprise database system, the bar for that is pretty high. So what we can hope to do to help in this is provide intelligent defaults for configuration options, automate some steps for routine tasks, be able to use charts or graphs to be able to see the actual stats of a MUF so that you be able to better monitor and provide friendly APIs for users to be able to build custom tools. In particular, this should help new users as well as Datacom AD users succeed with very little knowledge of specific Datacom database concepts. So with these considerations, you might think a web and mobile application would be a good idea, but that's not always true. Often you're introducing another layer which can make your system a bit more complex. But with these applications, you're able to have charts and graphs, which gives a better, you'd be able to see how MUF resources are being allocated and used, and maybe see some anomalies that you might want to investigate. You also make better workflows for newer users with visual context and cues. Normally, if your users are more knowledgeable with the system, you don't have to consider this, but for new users, it's easier to be able to tap through a menu rather than typing out a long, complex command. And then it speeds up the development cycles if you have the right back-end APIs. So with a mobile or web app, you can simplify certain aspects of your user's experience as long as you don't make it too complex. So what are APIs? APIs are are things you can call to get information, and it's most web and app mobile development is very sensitive to these APIs. Most modern languages are also set up or optimized to use what is called RESTful APIs, which is a stateless architecture that in practice you interact with the APIs using JSON over HTTP. JavaScript object notation is human readable data format that has become essentially the de facto language for web and mobile, and all popular languages provide very robust JSON libraries. So to show the difference between using APIs to access Datacom, let's look at how you would normally access the DSTs today. For, say, to get the MUF options from the MUF that you have, right now you would have to start a Datacom server using JDBC or ODBC connections, find where that address space for the server is that's connected to the MUF, write code to establish a connection to the server using the right driver. Then you'd have to retrieve the row set and then serialize it using whatever program language you want. Or you could use a DB SQL PR job. And with that, you would have to code the JCL stream, put the right job live, submit the job, get the row set in the sysout data, and then process that text out for whatever purposes that you need it for. But with RESTful APIs, you can just use a web browser or a command line utility or your favorite HTTP library and issue a regular HTTP command, GET command. Here we have the call, which is, as we see, a GET command to a URL and the option that you're looking for. Then all you have to do is hand that JSON over to something that's able to speak it, and you get a result similar to something here, which, as you can see, is an array of objects, and you can see all the different options. So how would we implement something like this? Now, you might think that we just have this MUF address space that you want to access on some LPAR, and we just put the APIs on the MUF, and then a user agent like a browser or an HTTP library would be able to communicate using JSON, and everyone would be happy. But that approach isn't very realistic. There's two major problems with that. One is the development cost. It's very hard to justify the cost of developing in a V-native language like Assembler or C, because it's going to be very slow. And then it's not justifiable at all to risk the stability of the MUF address space. So what can we do? Well, we can use the investment that IBM has put into the JVM. They've done great work in increasing the robustness and productivity of the JVM. And it addresses both concerns because the middleware can make developing APIs fast and keeps the MUF address stable. So we would have the JVM, and we could utilize the J2EE environment using, say, Tomcat in this instance. And then using those tools, we can easily build web apps and related API, and a user agent would be able to communicate how they would expect to normally communicate. And then we have a JNI to be able to communicate with the MUFs. So we talked about how we would implement this and how to actually use these APIs. So let's do an actual example to show. For this, let's just make a really simple pie chart to see how request activity is being distributed across the MUF tables. So for this, we'll use Python, and all we have to do is fetch the MUF table stats using UniRest, sort the array from the results array by total requests. We'll only focus on the top 5 and aggregate the rest and make a nice pie chart using the library. So, well, first we got to import our libraries that we'll need. So that will be requests for the HTTP and JSON libraries, and then we'll import our MATLAB for our pie chart. And then to get our JSON, our tables, we simply need to make our request. And then so the URL as shown was HTTP the LPAR that we need, and the port number, Datacom tools, API MUFs, the MUF that we're looking for, which is going to be my personal MUF, dynamic sys tables, and then our 3-letter MUF option, which in this case is MFT. And with that, we'll have our API request, and now we need to get the actual JSON from that. So for that, we'll have table lists. We just simply do call it the JSON library, and we'll have that. To sort, we'll need to sort the list using the Python library. So we'll put in our table, our key to sort by, which will be total requests. And since it'll order by smallest number first, we'll need to reverse it. And now we need to aggregate our results. So we just need to do a loop for the range from the 5th element to the end. And since JSON, all the different variables within the objects in JSON are returned as string, we need to convert it over to an int. And to save time, I've actually got the pie chart, actually, the code for the pie chart actually coded already. That's not using a whole lot of the API, so not as interesting. So let's run the demo really quickly. Should get a pie chart, and here we are. So as you can see, we have two tables that are roughly about being used roughly about the same time, same amount, and then we have a few more tables, and then all the rest. So that's how you would. That's a nice small example, but what about a larger project, say a mobile app? Well, for this, we focused on monitoring and alerts at first, and that way we could make curated subset of DSTs, this information available by taps, and we only focused on a single LPAR and not making simplex aware. You'd be able to monitor special MUFs that you are interested in. When monitoring these MUFs, you'd be able to see recent history and get a text or email alert for when a notable event happens. So let's go over to the app. As you see, we're running this on a simulator, iOS simulator for the iPhone 7. I already have an LPAR that I'm monitoring, but you can add more, and as you see, the default names are one of the 7 dwarfs. But if you click the star, you'll be able to go in and get a bit more information on the LPAR that you're looking at, such as the name, host name, port number, user and password. And if you'll be able to tap on the name, go in and look at all the MUFs that you have. And this is a dynamic list. If I were to go and start a MUF, so let's start a MUF up right now. And once this gets started, you'll be able to see that that the MUF comes in right here. Now, if you go in, you'll be able to turn on monitoring and then set notifications. For this, I'll put in my phone number since no one seems to want to give me theirs. And then you also put in your email. Now, if you click on the names, if you click on the name of the MUF, you can go in and see different stuff. I'll use my MUF as I was monitoring, and there's a part that takes some time to get the information. But as you see, you're able to monitor the CPU, and as you can see here, it's a bit high. You can look at the different options that that the MUF has set, as well as looking at the different data sets and as well as how full they are. And you can look at the requests, reads, and other useful information that you would want. And then you can be able to actually see a history of the CPU usage. As you see, you can look at the past 2 minutes to 15 minutes right now. So let's see what happens when we bring them up down, and if we'll actually get our notifications. So should come down here shortly. Oh wait, I ran the wrong show, that's why. It wouldn't be a live demo without some mistakes. All right, so we're into our MUF. As you see, the MUF has no longer, hopefully you were able to hear the text message. And this is the email that I would have got, that I would get. And it has the same information that would be in the text message. As you see, the MUF, it gives you the information of the MUF that went down and at what time. So what would this cost you to implement if we were to have this available today? Well, it would be fairly simple. If your environment already has a J2E compliant server such as Tomcat or Blastfish, you just need to drop the web application archive or file into your web apps directory, add the JNI shared object library into the JNI live path, and then you can deploy your web mobile app. If you don't have one of these servlets, you can either get one and do the proceeding, or you would also be able to deploy the backend API as a standalone jar and then start using the JVOS bash launcher. So in conclusion, what would you expect to actually get from this? You'd be able to see better into what's going on in your MUF with graphs or time series. You'd be able to have more intuitive workflows by being able to see where a problem occurred and where and when a problem occurred to what you would probably need to resolve it. Makes it a lot easier to use for some things, easier to use for AD or new users by automatically generating and submitting JCL. You'd be able to get text or email alerts with a tap or a click, and it would make it much easier for Datacom users to create custom monitoring apps. So do we have any questions?
Oh, everybody, don't forget to unmute by doing #6 if you have any questions. Or I can unmute everybody. Oh,
Justin, your example showed kind of a read-only app where you're going and you're reading those dynamic system tables, but in your conclusion it implied that you could do more, that you might be able to then eventually enhance this to take some action to give a response to submit a job or something. Is that right?
Yes. Well, my app, the app that I demoed, wouldn't be able to submit a JCL. You could make with the right API, you could use a post command and actually have it submit a JCL or update a database that way.
Thanks.
There's also an opportunity that you're talking about in system tables that if you were to, there's a dynamic system table where you can actually place some Datacom statements in that can be acted on. So you also have an opportunity to actually communicate to the multi-user through dynamic system tables rather than JCL. So that's another choice we could do with it. We would just need an update. You would have an update to one of the dynamic system tables that has the console capability in it. Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Justin, do you have the trailer slides? Can you switch to the next slide? No, you don't have. Okay, that's okay. Okay, well, thanks, everybody. I have scheduled, starting at the top of the hour, the application tuning part 3. I tried to send it to everybody who was on the other meeting, so if you didn't get an invitation to that and didn't get it on your calendar, just email me real quick, nancy.doucette, D-O-U-C-E-T-T-E, @CA.com, and I'll send it to you. But hopefully I got everybody. So I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes. Thanks. Bye-bye.